concept of youth hostels was started in Germany in 1909 by Richard Skerman, and it took 40 years for the ideas to reach India before the partition of the country in 1947. The mission is to enable and promote travel, tourism, adventure spirit, national integration and education and health by providing hostels of good standards to millions of youth of limited means during their travel at affordable rates. In true spirit of backpacking, the national president, Dr. Harish Saxena, took off on a 20-country expedition leaving from Kazakhstan to promote peace and international understanding. Dr. Saxena confers tips for backpackers as he travels without any overnight bookings, tourist information, or internet research. He believes in meeting people rather than visiting monuments and museums, and his only tool to explore the world and find directions are with a map and YHA directories. Hello viewers, a majority of us are aware of hoteliering, but the concept which is quite uncommon to us is hosteling. What is this hosteling all about? And to tell us more about hosteling and making its expansion across the globe, we have with us today in our midst Dr. Harish Saxena, the National President of Youth Hostel Association of India. Dr. Saxena, thank you very much for joining our program today. It's really a pleasure. Welcome to Prime News. Well, Dr. Saxena, you say that the Northeast and Assam is your second home. You're coming after quite a number of years. What are the specific changes you have observed while coming here?
Well, thank you very much for inviting me to come here. First of all, yeah, it is true that Northeast was like a second home to me. I came many times here, all over Northeast. When I came here yesterday, I was so pleased to see the development which were taking place in this beautiful city of Guwahati. In fact, from the airport when I came and I saw the university, which I had seen earlier also, and I saw there was a traffic and the car stopped for some time, but I could see that young people, both boys and girls, full of zest and confidence, walking in the university or by the side of the road. I was really very happy to see that.
Right, Dr. Saxena, it's wonderful. But from what you say, it seems the youth is very close to your heart. And today, while I was just talking to you some time back, you said you are 68 years old. I would say that your heart is still 16 years old. Now, let us go to the exact topic of our discussion today. You have been the chairman of this association for over 20 years, and you have been also the president, I think, for almost 8 years. In fact, you were the first non-European to, occupy that coveted post. Could you tell us something about your experiences across the globe?
Yes, it gave me such immense knowledge of the geography, topography, cuisine, culture, languages of the world remaining in my own organization. We have a motto called "Wandering One Gathers Honey." And
may I ask you how much of honey you have gathered till now?
It must be tons and tons. I'm trying to share it with the others now. But it is true that the non-formal education of travel gives young people a knowledge which they cannot get from the books or from the globe. So this my immense knowledge which I gained was working with all the international people. I was president of the World Board, where the people from different parts of the world were there as the board members, or the staff was there. And then I had to go around in various my member associations there, talking to them the promotion of youth hostels. And I am sure that your next question will be, what is a youth hostel?
Oh yes, not only me, I think everyone would be interested in knowing what is youth hostel. We have gone, I have gone, a lot of people have gone to youth hostels, but is it a movement? Is it an NGO? What is it? Could you in short, tell us what is this youth hostel movement here?
Hostel is a generic term where, college hostels are there, school hostels are there, and this youth hostel is a term which was first of all a German school teacher, Richard Sherman, in Bavaria. He started this Jugend Herberge. He took his school children out for vacations during Saturday and Sunday, but he found no place for them to stay overnight. So he changed the school, classrooms into dormitories where young people could stay in the night there, and he asked the school people to build a small kitchen there and the lavatory there. And this way the young people could stay overnight and travel around the schools to see the nature, to watch birds and all that. And that was the first concept of youth hostels were there in Germany. It started in India in 1949, to be precise, by some professors of Maharaja College, Mysore. Some of them were English men there, English professors were there. And they knew about this movement in Europe and its utility particularly. And so they thought that India should have this movement also. And let me tell you, the movement was rapidly expanded even in Europe after the Second World War, when the countries were shattered, and the leaders at that time thought that the movement of young people around the countries of the world, particularly Europe, will bring them together easily, because young people are the people who can cement the broken bonds between the nations, between the societies. They are open. They have no hesitation in understanding the language, the cuisine, the culture. They can grasp the whole thing very quickly at that age, right. And and that's why it started expanding.
But how is it different from other organizations? You are saying that it's an NGO, it's working towards charitable. It's a charitable organization. How is it different from other organizations? And could you please enlighten us? What is your ultimate mission?
We think that let me see our own country. Forget about the world for the moment. See the rapid growth of youth travel in the last decade or so is a very important factor, which is bringing stability to the country. Stability in any form, whether it's northeast or is any other part of the country, is bringing the young people nearer to each other, whether it's social media, whether it's something different. But very important that the people should see themselves. You see, you can't have everything on social media then. So creating opportunities for young people who are financially better now than what they were in my age group that time. They want to go out, they want to relax, but they don't want to spend more money on their night stay for their accommodation, which is a different type of accommodation. So youth hostels come very handy to them.
Another important thing, Dr. Saxena, is one thing that has always been stressed is to maintain communal harmony within the hostels. This was very much evident during my young days also, when I used to go to youth hostels. I used to see that communal harmony was a thing which you all always laid thrust on.
That is the basic mission of our organization. No discrimination of any political or any caste, creed, religion in any hostel in anywhere in the world. You see, I tell you, since you have traveled and you have stayed in a hostel, we believed in dormitories and still believe in dormitories. Every hostel must have a dormitory, though as I said, the concept is changing. We are having family rooms now also, family accommodation also. See, if suppose there are 4 beds in a room and there are 4 people from 4 regions. Now, the time they spend in the evening together, the time they spend in the night together, in the morning together, they talk about their own language, they talk about their own culture. The other young people, they accept this. They are acceptors. They are now, and the what do you call this? The friendship which they develop there is much more stronger than if they have stayed in a hotel.
Drifting away slightly, Doctor, there's a phase of modernization now going on in the youth hostel movement, if I could say it, in India. You know, like professional management structure is a thing on which you all are paying thrust.
You see, if you do not change with time, then the organization will be left behind.
Right, Doctor, yeah, absolutely right. You were talking in terms that with passage of time, we have to go for modernization. And I think that was also evident during the Commonwealth Games, you know, a real new get-up was given, slightly a bit of international touch to the existing youth hostels in the country, especially in Delhi and other metros.
That is true, because it was an international event. It was a, you know, what you call this, country's prestige was involved in that, so everybody chipped in into that, and we tried to make the best possible, you know, show for the country.
But Doctor, just to add to this, you were saying about you know, your dream would be to expand youth hostels all over the country, across the entire Northeast, a region which is so close to your heart. But I have to honestly share with you, the standard of the youth hostel, or the purpose with which the youth hostels were created across the country, especially in the Northeast, is not serving the purpose for which it was created, which I feel. In fact, I personally had gone to a number of youth hostels, and you know, I found that it was being occupied by, you know, like say, talk about Garo Hills, talk about Shillong, talk about Guwahati. They were being occupied by security forces, some places by, you know, players. So do you think that it's really serving the purpose?
I fully share your views. I'm deeply pained with the development, and in last 24 years, I was associated myself with the Ministry of Youth Affairs for promotion of this movement in Northeast, and it's painful for me to say that we failed in the whole purpose. It is not because somebody has occupied it, because it has not managed properly.
So something has to be done on the part of,
yes,
as far as the managing of the whole thing is concerned, so that we can again retain back the status. What do you say?
Somebody who's listening to this today, I think they should do it. I have moved many times to the center, and as far as back even 5 or 6 weeks back also, and I hope, and hope is always with the young people, that something will be done.
Right, Doctor, 2003 is very significant to your movement to a large extent. That you know, you all had raised the standards from, you know, from sleeping bags and were replaced by bed bags. I would say this was a revolution in the movement of the youth hostel activities in the country.
You see, as I said earlier also, we have to move with time. I particularly have been lucky that I'm also teaching in a college for so many decades. So I was in tune with the changing mood of the young people, changing desires of the young people. And if we are in tune with them, then we are successful.
Okay, with this we take a short break now. We'll be right back. Please don't go away. Welcome back. We are on the banks of the mighty river Brahmaputra in Guwahati, and my guest is Dr. Harish Saxena. Doctor, let us move with the next part of our program. What I would specifically like to know is that you are also considered to be one of the persons instrumental in spreading the movement in the Southeast Asian countries. Your contribution, especially in countries like China, Doha, Istanbul, can never be forgotten. Could you, in short, share some of the experiences there?
See, not that I alone was responsible for that, because there is a whole group of people. Our idea was to strengthen the movement, already existing movement, like in Arab Union, Arab countries there. They were almost in many countries the movement, but was not visible, there. So we strengthened them.
Right, doctor, I'm very much tempted to ask you one question, and I was thinking for so long to really ask you, and it really, around the world in 80 days, you covered 20 countries. You are a go-getter. I know moving from one place to another is nothing new or nothing, but how did you manage? Could you please share with us your experience during that thing?
My first backpacking was in 1975 when I flew to Kabul, and then traveled the whole, for many months I traveled from there. That time even rucksacks were not available in the country, so I made a handmade rucksack and handmade sleeping bag. Last year I traveled to 22 backpacking trips, starting from Kazakhstan to all the ex-Russian states, ex-Yugoslavian states, and in one go, in continuation by road, in one go, which was a real experience for me. But let me tell you, in my all these 40 years of international travel, I found excellent people.
Basically good at heart. It's the way you handle with them.
If you go with a bias to any society or any country there, then you cannot enjoy that.
And one thing that really strikes me, doctor, is supporting the local communities. I've seen it at all levels. You all always have an intention to support the local communities, whether it's in the northeastern part of the country or whether it's in Jammu Kashmir. Could you please throw some light on this aspect?
You see, not too much. You see, I'm a student of chemistry. I believe in what you call a catalyst. So we believe in producing catalyst. And then the reaction will start and expand there. So, say for example, in a village, if you take out 1 or 2 persons and train them and show them the whatever you want to show, and they will go back and talk to the whole village, and they become the catalyst for change in that village there. That is the way we can go to the community, total community there.
Doctor, another thing which I was tempted also to ask you earlier, you were awarded with this Mahatma Gandhi Seva Medal. I think that was in the year 2012. Could you share some of the experiences, how you felt when you got the award? And it was really a true recognition, not only for you, your family, but the entire country.
To get something with the involvement of the name of Mahatma Gandhi, it felt an honor, So that was okay for it. Let me tell you, you talked about my backpacking trips, So my last backpacking trip was last month, was in East Timor. East Timor is not many people know, it's a small country in Indonesia, east side of Indonesia, near Australia. And it is a country which has come up in existence in 2002. And when I phoned one of my friends in UK that I am going to East Timor, or Timor-Leste, it is called Timor-Leste in Portuguese. The first thing he shouted on phone was, "Don't go, you will be looted from the airport to going to the city. This is a bad country there." And I laughed. Believe me, when something was in back of my mind when I landed at East Timor, Delhi airport there. But when I went, it was so peaceful. The people greeted me. That same evening I was walking into the city, by the side of sea. I was talking to young people, I was talking to older people, and everybody responded so beautifully with me that I spent few days there, and I was so thrilled to be with those young people and the other people there about it. There was no trace. That's what I say. You go to a country with open mind, without any bias. You will enjoy it, you love it, and people will love you.
Absolutely. I second you in that, Doctor. Doctor, you are a person who is so much, attached to the youth. And as I said that, it's you feel every day you're getting younger. And as long as your attachment with these people are growing. But youth of India, what do they need as of today? What do you think?
Youth of India, first of all, they don't want any structured lecture what they should do. Leave them. They have enough information now from the media. But one thing certainly which affects the young people mind is the honest leadership, dedicated leadership. If we have these two things, honest and dedicated leadership, we can certainly, that will affect the minds of young people. So by their actions, our leadership can change, can bring the young people in the main, the flow of the society there now.
So what do you feel is really required? What is the need of the hour right now to motivate our youth? What should be done?
This is what I said. A dedicated, honest and result-oriented leadership, which can bring in their mind that their future is safe. Their progress will be looked after. That is what important.
Doctor, let us talk something about your plans in India. What are the future plans you have for India?
Yes, thank you for asking this question. You see, this peace and international understanding was very close to my heart, as I said earlier. And so I got an opportunity last year. We had some land in Mysore, which is the birthplace of youth hostel movement in India. And we thought of building a center for the study of hosteling for peace and international understanding now, where we wanted to start e-learning courses, small e-learning courses to young people as a part of non-formal education, and the prospects of peace and international understanding in our own country as a prospect of integration and bringing together the society there now. And we plan to make a non-formal education there now, a center where we have 8 or 10 lectures, and any person can go through that and then get a certificate for that. But it is more changing the mindset of people, bringing them together that now. There is one center which we are going to start. I must say the work is going on. It will start a couple of years afterwards there. And I have got support from some of the important universities from Poland and Delhi and Oxford for that particular.
Oh, that's a great thing.
And the second project which I am planning is in Bangalore, which is 11th April. We are inaugurating a hostel. This is a hostel again with the participation of Bangalore Metro. Bangalore Metro and the YHI are jointly starting a hostel in Bangalore, because the property belongs to Bangalore Metro, and they have given us on a long lease. They want international standard hostel to come up, and we are working together. And 11th.
So that would be coming up in Bangalore. So that's really wonderful. And what are your plans for your backpacking?
See, when I retired from my job, a student of mine sent me SMS and said, you keep on working till the last moment, but you will not know when is the last moment. So I always keep this mind that yes, we have to keep on working till the last moment. I am planning to go to Africa now. I have been to North Africa, I have been to South Africa, but the Middle Africa, the deeper inside, I am not able to go. So I am planning to explore the Africa continent, because this is the continent which is on rise, and which is the next continent which will be economically stronger. And there's a slogan called "Black is beautiful," as you know.
Doctor, before we wind up this session of the interview, one question I would like to ask you. You have traveled in and out across the world. You have met so many people. Within India also you have traveled extensively. How can we make the our country and a world a better place for us to live?
By respecting each other. Respecting, understanding, and that respect will come by understanding each other, and that understanding will come with an open mind, going from one place to another place. And let me tell you, it is not that everybody can do that, everybody can travel. It doesn't mean that you don't understand, but by reading, by joining like our campaign like Peace and International Understanding or National Integration, one can contribute a lot. You need not go 1,000 kilometers to understand that. You can do it at your home also if you have an open mind, an unbiased mind.
Dr. Saxena, thank you very much for sparing your time and talking to Prime News today. We wish you a longer life and greater success in the days to come. Thank you very much and have a wonderful day.
Thank you very much.